It's 3. I need to have lunch, so I'm gonna make dumplings whilst I do this. The other day, I got my transcript for university, aka the most expensive piece of paper that I probably own. It says printed on recycled paper. Good. Welcome to folding dumplings, and also folding all my stress into a dumpling and just using it to fuel myself. But yay! I'm finally graduated. I am graduating with first class honors. Who would have thought? Your girl who used to write essays until the sun rose because she would procrastinate so badly, with honors. First class. It means I must have done something right, or also I must have done a lot of things wrong, because that is also very important. Learning by experience and learning by failures are very important. I'm basically gonna answer some questions. The first one, how do you feel about graduating? This is what no one tells you about graduating. It's like, even graduating high school, you think because these senior students who have graduated, they disappear off the face of the earth and they must have had their life sorted out somehow, or they must have been whisked away to some kind of happy ending fairy tale land. But it's false. No one knows what they're doing. Everybody is confused. The amount of times I've answered like a, oh, how's it going, with I have an existential crisis, nothing new, is kind of astounding to me. No one really tells you how alienating it feels. Like, it feels like being kicked out of a nest, but you can't even fly yet. So it's like being a baby bird. You gotta go, you can't stay here. And because studying is something that you've known all your life, it's familiar, it's something that's comfortable, even though it's so annoying sometimes, I'll admit. It's so much easier in your head to study as a routine because it's something that's not really foreign to you. Also, you get so many perks as like a student. You feel protected by the word student, and I still do. Like, it's not even just student discounts, even though I really miss student discounts. Like the ice cream that I could have got half off, but I forgot to get my last ice cream before my ID card expired. So so that's how it feels. It just feels like you're rotating off axes. Disorientating, confusing, caught between nervousness and excitement, and anxious, basically feelings that are not really unfamiliar to you as like a high school student trying to apply for unis. That's like the very same feeling you get once you've graduated, except you don't have this pocket to study unless you do masters. But for me, I'm trying to take a break from studying for a while, and I'm gonna be working for a year as kind of a teaching assistant. So I'm not actually going to be a teacher at a secondary school, but I'm on my way to being one, if that makes sense. I'm looking forward to a path towards teaching, but for now I'm just testing the waters, doing some training, getting like hands-on experience. It's all about experience! Ooh, how to deal with perfectionist desire. I'm getting tired of my own expectation. You don't, you just kind of live with it. It's the advice that no one really wants to hear. Oh gosh, the amount of times that I would not start a piece of work because I was scared of damaging it or making it worse, or because once I've touched it, then I have responsibility for anything that goes wrong with it. It's kind of mirror talk in my head where it's like, you can't do it. I would say just do something. Like, there are some things to make it easier, so write on little scraps of paper. I used to write things on my note app in my phone, and I also used to write on napkins or post-its. Post-its are very good because you can just rip it off if it doesn't work out, and also it's a very small amount of space, so anything you write isn't really permanent. It doesn't have that kind of scary feeling of like a blank piece of paper. Like, what do I do with this blank piece of paper? The illusion of you're just doing something carefree, it doesn't matter. And it just gives you the feeling of you're just getting started. It's more like I have a train of thought and I'm gonna write down my train of thought. Whether I use it, it's up to me. As long as I'm getting started, it's fine. I would write on post-it notes and also my mind maps. The reason why I don't really tell anyone how my mind maps work, even though they look absolutely insane, is because they don't really have a system and they don't have an organized kind of process. It's really just me brain dumping a lot of stuff onto paper because it gives me the illusion like I'm writing stuff, I'm doing stuff. It gets the momentum going for a piece that is so big in my head. How important is journaling for you, and how are you consistent with it as a busy student? Journaling for me is kind of like this companion that I can choose to go to or choose to not, and my journal's main purpose is to kind of temper the chaos that erupts from my journal. Doesn't really have a system. It's just me like jotting a schedule down, but also jotting down my thoughts and sticking things in memories. If it looks messy, it looks messy. I don't really care. But it's definitely my companion. There was a time though where I can't be consistent with it, which was just last October. I think I completely abandoned it altogether in the middle of the year. So there's a chunk of my bullet journal that's just missing. I had a lot of negative thoughts in 2018, so I didn't really want to reflect as much, and I didn't really see my journal as a companion. I saw it as something like a confrontation. But eventually I just kind of thought, you know, heck, I'm just gonna get back into it because I kept forgetting things. I didn't write down where things were due, and it was just really bad. So it's just a way for me to have a companion that helps me, I guess, to organize and plan and whatever. I'm going to college next year, but I'm unsure of my career path. Is that normal? That is so normal. In fact, a lot of people I know who graduated with me are still unsure of their career path, even though they have finished their entire undergraduate degree. There's always this kind of push to like just keep studying, and I actually felt that push. Tips to become friends with your roommates or dorm mates. I shared a dorm room with one other person. If I came in early to move my stuff and my roommate wasn't there yet, I would just kind of write like a message and just leave it on her desk. So it's kind of like we're kind of acquainted before we see each other face to face. Yeah, I introduced myself a bit, like what I study, where I graduated, blah 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 blah. So that really helped to kind of break the ice. How do you find people in a place as big as university? I remember asking myself this question when I was in year one. I kind of narrowed it down so it wasn't as big. So for my university, it's a big campus. I would narrow it down to people in my college dorm and people in my major. For people in my college dorm and friends at my college dorm, I didn't really I had like a really closely knit group of friends. We met at the vegetarian table during dinner because we have communal dinners and the vegetarians sit on one table. I met another Michelle on that table, and then I also met Michelle's friend who is also at our dorm, and they all knew my roommate as well. So it was just kind of like this fate thing. I don't know. It's a lot better when I don't really force it, but there are situations where sometimes you might force it a bit. So like group projects, or I met Christy working on a phonetics group project, so that was interesting. But if it works for you to kind of reach out personally and go, hey, want to like grab coffee sometime or want to hang out and study, then by all means that could also work as well. What are the things you do to keep your things done on time? Internal deadlines are my best friend and also worst friend. I hate them, but they really work out for me. Second, just kind of split your big tasks into, I guess, like smaller tasks. For example, a paper, I have certain steps. Writing down like a list of things that I have to do and checking them off really helps, because I can track like the process of my work, and also I can track how much I have to do left, and if it's overwhelming, if I need help, then it's not too late to ask. Taking notes during lectures. How do you manage? I do have my notebook. So, for my last year of uni, I used this because I really had not many classes to take. Okay, I section my notes into lecture and tutorial. So for lectures, I really just write whatever I hear, but sometimes I extend it beyond that. Let's say my prof like discusses a concept and I'm really interested in that concept, and as I'm writing down what he's saying, I get like a second train of thought, because I have the worst singular thought span ever. I always have incoming thoughts based on one little detail. So sometimes on the side I will put like a star for a symbol of this is my own train of thought, and I'll write down the train of thought really quickly, and then I'll get back to writing notes. I think I learned somewhere ages ago that writing down notes by hand is a lot better than typing them out, because you kind of write only what's necessary. Most of the time you write what's necessary. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just write everything, which is usually my case. I put a star for my own thought. I put a question mark for, you know, things I might want to question further and not just hear about right now. So here we have an example of a lecture, but I put like question marks in some places. The question marks help with creating this habit of not only intaking information, but also kind of questioning that information or branching out into different thought spans about the topic that you're learning that day. Yeah, note-taking for me is really just me trying to propel my brain into thinking of something for future papers and future essays, which is how my essays really come to be. For one of my essays, I literally went on like this major quadruple, triple page like kind of thought process before I actually got to what I wanted to talk about. So this is my baby. Is it normal for first year, first semester to be difficult? Adjusting is so hard, like trying to adapt to a new environment, no matter how much you've studied, no matter how much you think that you've done enough of this certain environment, it's always so difficult. My first year of uni was a flat line, and then gradually, even like the college website really stressed me out. I don't know, I hated Portal, I hated using it, I hated signing up for things. In first year, it's so difficult, everything's so hard. How to muster the courage to ask a professor for help or questions. I started with email. Honestly, like, just email them. Or if they have office hours, just show up. I remember my philosophy prof, I would show up to his office hours because he had consistent weekly office hours, and when I felt like my argument critiques needed some sort of, you know, looking over a little bit, profs are always happy to like talk through your thoughts with you. Generally, my profs were really nice, and they were very accepting when I wanted to talk to them about something. I usually make an appointment beforehand though, because I don't know if he would be busy during office hours, or if I wanted something done a little bit sooner than the office hour date. It's really dependent on the prof if they are open to talking with you about an assignment or helping you, but generally I think a lot of profs are very open with it. From experience, email them, just talk to them. They're also human. I think we have to remember that. Profs are also very human, so yeah, if anything, I think they'll be happy to talk with you and get to know one of their students a bit better. How to deal with feeling wronged by your prof. Grades or advice? Oh, in terms of grades or advice. It is what it is. Sometimes you'll agree with the grade, sometimes you won't, and there are a bunch of grades on my transcript that I don't agree with, but they're on my transcript now, and they don't really affect my final grade that much because they've really motivated me to do a lot better. In terms of advice, sometimes it would be like a reality check kind of situation where the advice sounds a little bit harsh, but at the end of the day they are saying the truth sometimes. Or if it's kind of expressed a little bit too harshly, maybe they're going through something themselves too. They're really stressed people as well. Being a prof is hard, and so if anything, it's really, you know, bad timing or something like that. How to deal with courses that I'm really not interested in. You have to fake it till you make it. So I once had this history course, and gosh, the amount of information that I had to cram into my brain, like, I really loved the era that this history course focused on, but I really didn't like the amount of content that I had to memorize, and it was like overpowering me in a way. I just had to try and tell myself I am interested in this. This is so cool, like this piece of information is very awesome to know. I have to be honest, a lot of courses that I took that I wasn't really interested in happened in first year or the beginning of second year. I just had a lot of core classes that I had to take. A lot of times it's just me trying to find an interesting fact that has to do with that subject and then just kind of rolling with it. Gosh, PE. I just had to think about all the endorphins that I would get out of sports. You just have to kind of push through and know that there are courses that you will really enjoy that are not this one. Just kind of balance it out a bit. Is it normal to go to lectures and tutorials alone? Do you get judged? It is completely normal to go to lectures and tutorials alone. Lectures, I remember taking my reading poetry class alone for a good few weeks, and it was really normal. I would just kind of sit there, like, if you feel uncomfortable sitting alone, or if you feel like people are staring and judging you, most likely they're not, especially if they have their friends around. I don't think they would look at you and go, oh, she's alone. I don't think that's a thing. I'm pretty sure people are very understanding of you wanting to be more independent in uni, because I mean, it's inevitable. Like, sometimes your friend won't show up, sometimes you won't have any friends in your classes, and that's completely fine. I just kind of take notes rapidly and focus on the fact that I am here to learn about this subject, and that is it, and I can always see my friends after class. And I'm not gonna lie, it does feel very empty when there's nobody sitting there, but I just kind of do the thing where I just kind of fake confidence, like I am here to learn only. And also, the more you do it, the more it feels very easy. Like, for my TED Talks class, I would go alone because it was a course that I was interested in, and I wanted to go, but none of my friends would sign up for it. If there is group work, you could meet people or meet friends doing the group work. If there's group work and you meet people that are annoying, at least you know that you've tried. It's a lot easier said than done, but I think if you get into the habit of knowing that your college experience is for yourself, it becomes a lot easier to walk into a class alone and just kind of sit there and just focus. Some top tips if you want to sit alone: sometimes the front of the classroom might be better than the back, because if you're sitting in the back you can see everybody, and it makes you a lot conscious about, you know, you having no one next to you. I don't know, I usually sit in the front because I can focus better. Those are all the questions I'm gonna answer at the moment, but maybe if you still have some more questions, I'll answer them in the comment section. I hope I answered a couple of interesting questions. Also, good luck with the school year. You're gonna do really great. You got this.